Harmony Gold has reported third quarter earnings with headline earnings per share down slightly to 234 cents per share from 242. Get some in-depth perspectives on that miner now with the CEO, Graham Briggs. Hi, Graham.
Hello.
Just looking at Sam's discussion a moment earlier about the diamonds and Petra, and there was talk of the Cullinan mine, and I remember when De Beers had their strategy of Thrive at 5 and all that, and Cullinan was still going to be part of their plans. They then sold it and Petra's taken it over. Now it looks as if Petra's actually making a go of this, and perhaps De Beers might be looking at it and saying, well, perhaps we could have sustained the ownership and perhaps done a bit better. But they're the harmony of the diamond sector.
I mean, the analogous, and relative speaking, they took over an operation, did some great things, some smart things. Now they've pumped a lot of money into it and developing, and now they're going to draw on the higher grade. So they're actually going back to the sort of higher grade parts of that deposit instead of just doing the cave. And that's very much like what we've done. We bought a lot of assets, had a lot of assets, we've closed a lot down and everything like that, and we're now developing in the higher grade ore deposits. So I mean, Johan's doing a great job in diamonds.
Well, on your results, any chief executive would like to say this: lower production, higher profits.
Yeah. In a way, our quarter was disappointing from various aspects. We were down on production, and that was, some of it was known about and some of it wasn't, and so in a way it was disappointing for us. But we kept good control of the costs, so we didn't have these increase in costs. Obviously our unit costs gone up, but that was because of the lower production. It's a case of sometimes we have to face the music, do what we have to do in looking at the long-term future, but you're going to get these quarterly hiccups.
It's quite interesting, the numbers. People are obsessed with quarters, and not many companies outside of the gold sector do report quarterly. A couple of others do, Sappi, Sun International for some reason, but it does tend to focus too much on just the 3-month period. You also talk about a 9-month period where your profit to March, the 9 months to March, 2.5 billion rand compared to 659 for the previous period, which is a big jump. Gold price, the main reason behind it.
Gold price, but there are a lot of factors in this mining industry, and when we look at the 9 months and you look at, we gave a bit of analysis there, we made just over 3.8 billion rand, and what we did with that money, we did return some to shareholders. We did spend so far 2.2 billion on capital. We have been spending a lot on exploration, so we've been, using our money wisely. And sometimes you just go to the bottom line and you say, well, how does this look? But we try to give a bit of perspective on what's been happening, how our business has been changing over the last while. So, we're in a much better space. And then what you don't see in the figures is we got more than 700 million rand in the bank, which we didn't have in the previous period. So, we're in a much better space.
So even though it was a tough quarter, the quote that you used there, sustainable company, that's what you want, a sustainable company, which is not guaranteed in the industry that you're in, which generates free cash flow that funds dividends and growth. I mean, it sounds like you're having everything, but in fact you've managed it.
Yes, and sustainable means a lot of things to different people. For us, it's a case of actually keeping all our stakeholders in some way happy. So, we need to look at local communities, but we also need to look at our taxes and our shareholders. Sustainable means we have to invest in the future of the company, in exploration and so on. So, it's got many assets and facets to it, and but we are looking at the long term.
What about safety? On the one hand, it's a dangerous industry. You do mention that there were 5 deaths in the period. Safety stoppages. And a lot of comment has been made that there's been an overreaction by the authorities on this.
It's been a difficult side to the industry, and a lot of the spotlight has been shone on us because of the safety stoppages and the like. I guess there's 2 sides to every story. I think the right side is that we as an industry have really focused a lot more on safety and given it a lot more attention. In a way, I guess the department can take a bit of credit because they forced the light on it. I know the minister recently said, April was the safest month. It also happened to be the month where we didn't have any Section 54 stoppages. But
there also a lot of holidays. I mean, there's risk
holidays as well. But we have upped our game a lot on safety. There are some of our operations which have been a month without any accidents. Now, that was unheard of. If you look at lost time incidents, we're in the single digits now, whereas for many, many years, everything was in the double digits. If you look at the areas where big accidents are happening, they are not happening in the traditional areas of big accidents. So I think there's a lot of alignment, and we set ourselves up now for a great and safe future.
You talk in your statement about optimising asset portfolios, Rand Uranium, the sale, there's Evander.
Yep.
And then, of course, in Papua New Guinea, there's the prospect of much more revenue coming from outside South Africa.
Yes, in Papua New Guinea, the Golpu deposit is a great copper-gold porphyry. It's good, high-grade material. I say that it's the best deposit in the world right now, and that's really my belief. I'm a geologist, so I guess I get passionate about these things. It's going through pre-feasibility. It'll be complete by the end of June. We'll have announcements out of that probably in August time. And then we'll go into feasibility, and eventually it'll go into production. It's a great deposit. You don't often get fantastic deposits like that in the world. And really, what distinguishes one company from the other? It's really the underlying assets. So
and that production's still to come, as opposed to a lot of the industry where the production is declining.
Yeah.
The employee share option scheme that you've got, I mean, in an industry which is often accused of neglecting its workers, this is a big step?
It's a big step, yeah. I think, we're now in the position where everyone in Harmony in some way or form is a shareholder. But it's one of those steps that we've been looking at. So if you look at our company, and there's a lot of history to the gold mining industry, if you look at black empowerment, managers, what percentage, we're now 44% empowered. Before, that was a big issue. So we're now well ahead of those targets. If you could look at local employment, our best operation, which has the most local employees, is Joel in the Free State, where 67% of the employees at Joel are from that region. Now, there are a lot of things are said about migrant labour and that sort of thing. These are things that are changing. So, employee ownership is where, shareholder ownership is one of them.
The cost of it, the scheme?
It's going to cost the shareholders a bit of dilution, but, this is something that the shareholders approve. So they have approved the scheme.